And what I wanted to talk about is something that a lot of people have wondered about. It's this phenomenon, Abraham Lincoln is so compelling a figure, and he has remained particularly compelling in 2009 for two reasons. First of all, it's his bicentennial of his birth, and so a lot of people have been curious about what it was about his life that always puts him in the top 3 of the presidential rankings. Why does he stay there? The second reason is our current president, Barack Obama, also looks back at Abraham Lincoln as an extremely compelling character. So what is it? What's the combination there? Well, I think some of the answer is quite apparent. If you look at Lincoln's career, if you look at his impact on American history, here's a man, obviously, who goes through the American Iliad, the Civil War, and is able to, without firing the first shot, he was determined not to start the war, but was able to keep the Union together. He fought initially for Union, but then, of course, as the war went on, this is a tendency of American presidents. You'll see this, if you study the presidents, you'll see that when they get into a war, if it's not a quick war, they have to find bigger and bigger reasons for all the bloodshed. And so as the war went on, Lincoln adopted not just Union as a cause, but also the emancipation of the slaves. And then by pushing the 13th Amendment in 1864 and 1865 successfully before he was assassinated, the Union had this transcendent cause now to be fighting for freedom. So Lincoln helped define the American experience in that way. This would be very compelling to subsequent presidents, including Barack Obama. Also, Lincoln did something critically important, and if we have time, we'll get to it later in the talk tonight. Lincoln was able to take one word in the Declaration of Independence and put a whole new gloss on that word, reinterpret that word so that it would guide our understanding of freedom. And we'll get to that word. The word is equal, but we'll get back to it, and we'll unpack its meaning in the way that Lincoln unpacked it. Many other reasons that Lincoln is compelling, but I think for people like Barack Obama and so many other Americans, ultimately it comes back. This man, I'm going to use a word that's become so overused now, it's almost a cliche, but it's a good word. He has become iconic. The log cabin origins all the way to the White House. How does somebody do that? Now let's put this in perspective. And to put it in perspective, I want to use Booker T. Washington's famous quotation. Booker T. Washington pointed out the measure of a human being, the measure of that person's career, is not just how many accolades they receive in life, but how many obstacles they overcome to get where they get in life. That's the true measure of a person's character. Now, it's one thing if you start life out in the gentry class, as George Washington did, and rise from, being gentry and go to the White House, especially if you've gone through commanding the Continental Army and being unanimously selected to preside over the Constitutional Convention. You start on a fairly high platform. If you're Benjamin Harrison, your grandfather, William Henry Harrison, was president.